Hello. Are you the one that looked on the internet to find the difference between an asset manager and wealth manager? We're going to talk about that in the next video. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Wealth and Whiskey, where every conversation is aged and unfiltered, and we'll talk about why here in a second. I'm Roger Kiger. I've been a financial planner for about 30 years, helping people build their wealth and protect their legacies. So this channel is about sharing a different perspective on our industry and maybe talking about some things that maybe the industry doesn't want you to know, right? So we'll uncover some of those things. In the last couple of videos, we talked about different types of advisors, right? We talked about an insurance-based advisor. We talked about a commission-based advisor. And we talked about a fee-based advisor, which are the three most common. Those would cover almost everybody in the industry, including the banks and the wirehouses and everybody that holds themselves out to be a financial advisor. And if you remember, we also mentioned the fact that there's really no qualification required to call yourself a financial advisor. Kind of doesn't seem right, which means it's on you to ask the right questions to determine what qualifications somebody has regarding whether or not they should be managing your money. So as we talk through the different types of advisor, in this video, I want to address what I think is one of the most commonly searched internet questions, which is, what is the difference between an asset manager and a wealth manager? Right, everybody searches these types of terms to say, what's the difference? All the other videos we talked about with the insurance, the commission, and the fees types of advisors, those are asset managers. They get paid to manage the money. That's all an asset manager does. A wealth manager, on the other hand, includes all the asset management, but they deal with all the other things that affect the asset management. Well, what's that mean? You can call it financial planning, you can call it wealth management, you can call it comprehensive whatever. There's a lot of terms for it. But a financial planner or a wealth manager is going to look at, let's say, the tax consequences of your investment. Because it doesn't matter how much money you make, it matters how much you keep, especially if you have to pay it all out in taxes, right? So it's a little higher level of wealth management. A financial planner is going to look at the estate planning. So, and I've seen so many situations where somebody opens an account, they save money all their life, they do really well, they added a beneficiary when they opened the account. Since then they got married, had kids, and the beneficiaries have changed. Nobody looked at it because they were just managing the investments in the account, and the beneficiaries on that account did not coincide with the will, which is why I saw a 14, maybe a 15-year-old girl get written a check for over $100,000 because she was listed as a beneficiary, regardless of the spouse or the other kids that were listed in the will. Just another example of wealth management or financial planning, right? So those wealth managers include college planning, insurance planning, business consulting sometimes, right? Anything financial that might impact your financial well-being. Maybe that's even just helping with some of the financing things, introducing you to a bank or a financial institution to help with the lending aspect for mortgages and cars and all that. Because if you think about it, it doesn't matter if you do a really good job managing the asset. It only takes one or two mistakes to have a devastating impact on the assets you've been saving, building, and growing over time. That's where the wealth manager comes in to help with the bigger picture things. They can help build a plan. They can help work through the three stages, which is growing your assets, right? When in your younger years, when you're adding money and trying to grow it. In your mature years, when you're trying to just manage your assets. And then in your retirement years, when you're trying to protect them and take distributions out of them. So there's building, protecting, and distribution in multiple phases in your life. You can kind of narrow it down to those three things, right? Build it, grow it, protect it. So that's really where the wealth manager or the financial planner comes into play. And I think that's really important in regarding just preventing people from making mistakes that could impact the things they've been building for so many years. So I hope that answers the question a little bit between an asset manager and a wealth manager. You could think of a wealth manager as a financial planner. We talked about the licensing for the insurance advisor, for the commission advisor, and for the fee advisor. A financial planner, they can have any of those licenses, but to be a true financial planner, you want somebody that's had some training in the planning. That, to me, is the Certified Financial Planner, or the CFP designation. That's probably one of the most difficult licenses to get because it's so comprehensive. It takes a long time, takes a lot of training, and frankly, most CFPs don't get paid anymore to have that license. If you don't remember anything else about a CFP, just know that they get that license so they can do a better job for their clients in looking at all those things, even though it doesn't really compensate them any better, right? So that can give you a little bit of insight as to who that advisor is, what they're trying to do. So let me answer a couple of questions or tell you a couple of things that advisors will tell you when they're trying to attract your money, try to get you as a client. And you need to remember this, right? So, because you see these commercials all the time, and the commercials or the advisors say, we do better when you do better. What does that mean? It means it's probably a fee-based account because they get paid a higher fee as the account grows. I think that's probably a good structure for managing the assets. What you should ask when they say that is, how many clients do they have? Because if they have 100 or 200, that's probably a manageable load. If they don't give you the answer, it means they're bringing in your account, putting it in a portfolio, and moving on to the next one to add another account. If they manage 3, 4, 5, 700 families, they're not doing any type of wealth management. They're managing the assets, putting it in an account, and moving on, right? So the other things that we see financial advisors say, mostly asset managers, say, oh, your principal is guaranteed. You should put your money here. What you should ask is, if my principal is guaranteed, is that an annuity? An annuity, again, we talked about these things. Maybe it's okay for specific situations. But in most cases, your money's tied up for a long time. It could limit how much return you get on the account. And they have really, really large surrender charges because they pay a commission to the advisor. Not saying that's a bad thing, but maybe that's not the right thing for all of your money to be in that type of investment. And the same thing is true when an advisor says, oh, your income is guaranteed for life. Maybe that's okay. And there are situations where that can be a really good thing for some people, not necessarily for everybody, unless you want to put that money in an account and leave it there forever because of some of the surrender charges, guarantees, and so on and so forth. So again, when they say your principal is guaranteed or your income is guaranteed, make sure you ask them if it's an annuity. Let's see, the other thing I think I hear a lot, and this comes back to the term fiduciary. You've heard that probably throughout, all the commercials, everything on the internet. A fiduciary is a higher standard that makes the advisor put the client's needs before the needs of the advisor, right? And all the insurance and commission-based stuff, if they are not fiduciaries. They have to do what's right for you, but they don't have to put your needs ahead of the advisor. Where a fiduciary has to put the client needs first, right? So when an advisor says, oh, I put all my clients' needs first, you should ask them, are you a fiduciary? I've seen many advisors that say, oh yeah, I always put my clients' needs first. Well, that's not exactly answering the question, is it? Are you a fiduciary? Answer the question. because that will tell you what type of license they have. It will tell you what type of business they do, and frankly, whether or not they get paid a commission. Okay? So, as a fiduciary, so full disclosure, I am a fiduciary, I'm a CFP, I have an insurance license, and I have a commission license. I have them all because I believe that maybe there are specific situations where any of those products or services help somebody for a piece. But as a CFP, I need to understand how everything works together. Asset managers won't do that. A wealth manager or a financial planner will do that, right? So, do you really even need an advisor? I would argue that you need an asset manager less than you need a wealth manager, right? You can do the research and figure out some of these investment products, and everybody can pick a good exchange traded fund or pick a good stock, right? Buy an AI stock. Last couple of years, you would have done great. Well, that's great for a piece of your portfolio. Don't put it all there. Don't put it all in one thing. This is where the wealth manager can help with those types of things, right? So if you're, just pick the right advisor. That's the main thing I want to make sure you understand in this video is ask the right questions to pick the right advisor. I do think wealth managers or financial planners can be really helpful. Yes, you should get educated on the internet. Ask AI these kinds of questions and learn more about the products or services that your advisor is providing. But don't try to do it yourself because, for example, as a CFP, if this is all we do every day for most of our life, I promise you there are things we know about your financial well-being that you won't know to ask about, right? You might search the internet or ask AI about medical questions or legal questions, but at the end of the day, you're going to go see a doctor to get tested for whatever issue you have. Or you're probably going to hire an attorney if it's a really important issue. I could make a really strong argument that using AI or the internet or your neighbor's, or the water cooler at the office is probably not giving your financial well-being the attention it needs, which is where you can hire a wealth manager or a financial planner to address things that you probably haven't thought about. And that's where I think the CFP in particular makes a huge difference in addressing those types of issues, right? The CFP requires more training, it requires more accountability, and frankly, those types of wealth managers help give you a perspective for dealing with life's changes, right? I mean, because life's tough. There's a lot comes at us, and we need to be prepared or have the resources to deal with the financial issues that happen to us over our life. That's the CFP dealing with the comprehensive stuff. Everybody else is an asset manager. So hopefully that helps clarify the difference between asset management and wealth management. And as I've said many times, financial success just doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, diligence, and hard work. But you got to pay attention and have the right resources around you to be successful. So to start your journey for this, download the Legacy Blueprint so we can start sending you some information. I think that would be helpful. And don't forget to like and share this video. We don't want you to miss any of these conversations, and we will continue to address things that you need to know about wealth management, financial planning, and our industry as a whole. Sometimes the good, bad, and the ugly, but we want to share it all. So I'm Roger Kiger. I really appreciate your time with me. Thank you for joining us for Wealth and Whiskey. Cheers.